In this section, we are going to learn about linear equations that include parallel and perpendicular lines. We are also going to learn how to write the equation of the line that passes through given points with the indicated slope, with only two ordered pairs, and when we have different geometric conditions. We are going to work in section 3.3, which is on page 294. We are going to work problem numbers 2 through 8, 12 through 22, 24 through 32, 34 through 52, and then we're going to go back and cover number 10. So we're going to first start out with learning about parallel and perpendicular lines. Parallel lines are lines that never touch. So they can look something along the lines of this. Assume that I can actually draw straight lines. They can look like this. So as an example, parallel lines could include all of these blue lines on my sheet because they never touch. Okay? Parallel lines, in order for them to be parallel, they must do the same thing together. So if this line goes up 2 and over 3, this line must also go up 2 and over 3. That's what keeps it from touching. So parallel lines are said to have the same slope. So L1 is going to stand for line 1. If line 1 has a slope of 2 over 3, then line 2 has a slope also of 2 over 3 in order for them to be parallel. So for perpendicular lines, those are lines that cross each other and intersect at 90-degree angles. That's what that little box here means. It means that it crosses at a 90-degree angle. So an example of perpendicular lines is, if you can see, there's this blue line here and this little pinkish reddish line here. Okay, those are perpendicular because they all cross at that 90-degree angle. So in order for perpendicular lines to cross at that 90-degree angle, their slopes are opposite reciprocals. Opposite reciprocals. So if line 1 has a slope of 3 over 4, then line 2 has to have the opposite. So the opposite of positive 3 over 4 would be negative 3 over 4, okay? And they also have to be reciprocals. Reciprocal means that you're going to actually flip that numerator and denominator. So that would be 4 over 3. Another example would be if line 1 had a slope of 1/2. That means that line 2 would have a slope of negative 2 over 1, which could mean the same as negative 2. So in this first section on numbers 2 through 8, we are going to determine whether each pair of lines is parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So again, we have to find the slope. If they are parallel, they are going to have that same number. So the first line is going to have the same slope as the second line. If they're going to be perpendicular, then they have to be opposites. So one has to be positive, one has to be negative, and they have to have the reciprocal. So we would flip that fraction. That's the only way you can get perpendicular lines. If the lines do not meet either of these criteria, then that means we're going to put neither for our answer. So number 2 says that we have L1 goes through -2, -3, and 4, 3. Then we have line 2 that goes through 3, 5, and 5, 7. So we have to find the slope of each of these lines. So on line 1, they gave us 2 ordered pairs. How can we find the slope when we're given 2 ordered pairs? Hopefully you remember section 3.2 notes, where we first identify our x and y values, and then this was my first ordered pair, and that was my second ordered pair. So I use that formula of m equals y2 minus y1, that's a 2, it looks like an equal sign, but it's a 2, over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to write my parentheses just as we did in that section. So y2 was 3, y1 was -3, x2 was 4, x1 was -2. So I'm going to keep, change, opposite. 3 plus 3 is 6. And then I'm going to keep, change, opposite. 4 plus 2 is 6. So 6 divided by 6 simplifies to be 1 over 1, which could also just be 1. But we're going to leave it as a fraction because we know that our slope is always a fraction. So now I've got the same thing. I've got 2 ordered pairs, so I'm going to label them and use the same formula. This is my first ordered pair, and this is my second ordered pair. So I'm going to plug this into my sets of parentheses. So y2 is 7, y1 is 5, x2 is 5, x1 is 3. So 7 minus 5 is 2, 5 minus 3 is 2. That simplifies to be 1 over 1. These have the same slopes, so that means they are going to be parallel. I just realized that I just did actually which one did I just do? I actually just did number 1 instead of number 2. Sorry about the confusion if you've been confused during this. So you just got a free problem out of this video. Now we're going to do number 2 next. So again, since we had the same exact slopes, we ended up getting parallel lines. So number 2, line 1 goes through -2, 4, and 1, 8. And then line 2 goes through -1, -1, and -5, 2. So this works the same way. We need to find out if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither, so we need to find the slopes. We find our slopes by plugging them into this formula here. So what I'm going to do is label my x value and y value in each ordered pair, and then this is my first ordered pair, this is my second ordered pair. So you write in your parentheses. So y2 is 8, y1 is 4, x2 is 1, x1 is -2. So now I'm going to do 8 minus 4, which is 4, 1 minus -2. So I'm going to keep, change, opposite. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So my slope here is 4/3. For line 2, I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to write in my parentheses, and I'm going to label my x and y values, and this is my first ordered pair, this is my second ordered pair. So I'm going to have y2 is a 2, y1 is a -1, x2 is a -5, x1 is a also -1. So keep, change, opposite. 2 plus 1 is 3, and then keep, change, opposite. -5 plus 1 is -4. So let's look at what we have here. We have a positive slope and a negative slope, and then this one is a 4/3, this one is a 3/4. So since they are opposite reciprocals, we are going to say that these lines are perpendicular. Now moving on to number 4. Number 4 says that line 1 goes through -2, -3, and 3, -1. Then line 2 goes through -3, 1, and 7, 5. Same type of problem, so I'm going to label my x and y values. That's my first ordered pair, this is my second ordered pair. Write in your parentheses. y2 is -1, y1 is -3, x2 is 3, x1 was -2. So keep, change, opposite. -1 plus 3 is 2. Keep, change, opposite. 3 plus 2 is 5. So my first slope is 2/5. And then I'm going to write in my parentheses and label my x and y values for this line 2. So this is my x and y, and this is my first ordered pair and my second ordered pair. So for my second ordered pair, I have a 5 for my y2, and then a 1 for my y1, a 7 for my x2, a -3 for my x1. So 5 minus 1 is 4. 7 minus -3. Keep, change, opposite. So 7 plus 3 is 10. Now you might say these are neither because they're not the same. But notice that your 4/10 can simplify to be a 2/5. So make sure you simplify all of your slopes, because they may not look like they're going to be the same, but they actually could be. So we would say since these have the same slope, they are parallel. Now moving on to number 6. Number 6 has push. Hey. Sorry, I'm recording. What's up? No, you're okay. You're okay. What's up?
No, it's just some more of us out here too.
What y'all need?
I can get in class, work on homework.
Y'all want to get in the classroom, work on homework?
Yeah.
Are my keys in my door?
Right here.
Oh, okay. Do you know which one it is?
Nah,
It's the one by Sally Beauty Supply.
Did you give us our tutoring all day?
You don't get them back. You got to print a new one.
Oh, we got to print another one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They're online. They're on Moodle. It says Tutor and Long because I attach them to the test that y'all get the points for.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't give them back because I need to keep that with that test to show why I gave you those points.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm going to continue recording this. What I'm doing, guys, is I'm recording my lessons that I'm going to teach today because I told y'all it's going to be a little hard, right? That way y'all can watch these videos and watch me teaching it. And instead of having to come up to another class, you can just watch them at home.
Okay.
Or you can come up to another class. I don't care. But I'm just trying to make stuff a little bit easier for you guys. So y'all can go ahead and go into the classroom. I'll be down there in probably about 20 or so minutes, okay?
Okay. I put keys on deck.
Thank you.
All right.
So we have line 1 with equation 2x plus 4y equals 8. And line 2 with equation 4x plus 8y equals 10. So this problem is a little bit different than the other ones we have done so far. The reason it is different is because before they gave us up here as in 2 ordered pairs and we had to find the slope. Well, this time they just gave us an equation and we have to find the slope. We learned how to do this in section 3.2 notes towards the end. So in order to find out the slope in an equation, we have to put it in the form y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to draw my line through my equal sign and subtract 2x from each side. That gives us 4y equals negative 2x plus 8. Remember, we want the x term to be closest to your equal sign. And then we're going to divide each term by 4. So that gives us y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. Remember, you simplify 2 over 4 by dividing each of those by 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this is going to be our slope of our first line. And then I'm going to draw my line through my equal sign and then subtract 4x from each side, which gives us 8y equals negative 4x plus 10. Then I'm going to divide each term by 8. So we are left with y equals negative 1/2 x plus 5/4, and I get that by dividing my numerator and denominator by 4 to get that negative 1/2, and then I divided this numerator and denominator by their common number, which is a 2. So my slope here is also a negative 1/2. So that means that my lines are going to be parallel. Now to move on to number 8. Number 8 says I have find the slope of any line that is perpendicular to the line through the points 0, 5 and -3, -4. So this is my x and y, this is my x and y. So this is my first ordered pair and my second ordered pair. Well, if they give you two ordered pairs, we know we're going to have to find the slope of those if we're trying to find out if they're parallel or perpendicular. So I'm going to go ahead and use that formula we've been talking about, that m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So my y2 is -4, my y1 is 5, x2 is -3, x1 is 0. So I'm going to keep, change, opposite, which gives me a -9, and then -3 minus 0 would give us -3. We can divide each of these by a 3, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so that gives us 3/1. So the direction said that to find the slope of any line that is perpendicular to this line. So if I know this slope is going to be 3/1, the line that is perpendicular of this will be the opposite. So the opposite would be a negative, and then the reciprocal, meaning we would flip this fraction to be 1/3. So that would be the answer of what they are asking for on number 8. Now we are going to move on to numbers 12 through 22 even in our text. On this section, they are asking us to write the equation of the line passing through the given point with the indicated slope. Give your results in slope-intercept form where possible. So they've given us an ordered pair and a slope, and they have asked us to write the equation of a line. Anytime you see in the instructions, write the equation of the line, you are going to write down y equals mx plus b. Immediately, you should always think that. So on number 12, we have the point 0, -4, and your slope is -3/4. Well, whenever you have the equation of a line, you always need two pieces of information, your m and your b. So I'm going to write m equals and b equals, because I know once I have those two pieces of information, I can write my equation. Well, I've got 0, -4. In this problem, -4 is our y-intercept because we have a 0 for our x value and a number for our y value. Anytime you have a 0 for your x value, you know this is going to be your y-intercept. So my b is -4, and my slope is -3/4. They actually tell us that. So to write the equation of this line, we would have y equals -3/4x minus 4. If you wrote plus -4 like this, that's fine. That's the same exact thing. So that would be your answer for number 12. Remember, they're asking you for the equation of the line. Okay, now let's look at number 14. On number 14, we have the point -1, 2, and our slope is 3. So I know that they want us to write the equation of a line, so I'm going to write y equals mx plus b. And I need to find out what m equals and what b equals. That's the first thing you should always write down when you see write the equation of the line. So my slope is 3. They already tell me that. We need to figure out what our y-intercept is. Don't make the mistake and say your y-intercept is always the y value. That is not the case. If you were to plot the point -1, 2, you would find that it would be in quadrant 2 by going left 1 and then up 2. Okay, So that does not lie on your y-intercept. So what we have to do is we're going to label this as x and y, and we're going to plug it into this y equals mx plus b formula. So we know y is 2. Remember, when you plug numbers in, you always put them in parentheses. M stands for slope, so 3. X is -1. And we don't know what b is. So if we solve for b, then we're going to know what our y-intercept is. So I'm going to multiply 3 times -1 to get -3. And I'm going to bring down this b, and I'm going to bring down this 2. Then I'm going to add 3 to each side to get the b by itself. So I now have b equals 5. Now that I know what my m and b are, I can write the equation of the line, which is y equals 3x plus 5. And we are now finished. So on number 16, they give us the point 1, 3, and we have a slope of -2. So they're asking us to write the equation of the line. So the first thing we're going to write is y equals mx plus b. And in order to write the equation, we need to know what our slope and our y-intercept are. So that's the first thing that we should do. So they tell me my slope is -2. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in here. So I now need to find out what my y-intercept is. This problem works the same way as number 14 did. So I'm going to identify this as my x value, and this is my y value. And then I'm going to plug all of these values into my equation y equals mx plus b. So my y is 3, my m is -2, and my x is 1. So I need to find out what b is. So to find that out, I'm going to multiply -2 times 1 to give me -2. Bring down your b, bring down your equal sign, and bring down your 3. So to find out what b is, we need to get it by itself. So we would add 2 to both sides, which gives me 5 equals b. So I'm going to put 5 in here. And the whole point of this is to write the equation of a line. So I'm going to plug my -2 and my 5 in for my y equals mx plus b equation. So that would give me y equals -2x plus 5. Now we're finished. So now to look at number 18. They give me the problem 4, 3 with my slope as 0. So I'm writing the equation of a line, so I write y equals mx plus b, m equals b equals. That's no different than everything else that we've done so far. So they tell me my m is 0. Now I need to find out what my b is. So I'm going to plug in my x and my y values, and I'm going to plug everything into here. So my y was 3, my m was 0, my x was 4 plus b. So I want to get that b by itself. So I multiply 0 times 4 to get 0. Pull down your 3 and your b. What is 0 plus b? You should write b and bring down your 3. So 3 equals b. So I'm going to write that over here. And now I can write my equation. My equation would be y equals 0x plus 3. Now, I would accept y equals 0x plus 3 as an answer, but you can simplify it a little bit more by multiplying 0 times x, which is just 0. 0 plus 3 is 3. So that gives me y equals 3. So again, I would accept either one of those answers there. All right, next we have number 20. And on number 20, they give us the point 2, -5. And our slope is 1/4. So I need to write the equation of a line. So that's y equals mx plus b. Identify your m, identify your b. You should do that first every single time. They tell me my m is 1/4. Now I need to find out my b. So I plug in my x, my y, and my m in place of my equation. So that will give me y is -5, m is 1/4, x is 2, plus b. Now I'm going to put my 2 over 1 so I can see my numerator and my denominator. So to multiply these together, I would multiply 1 times 2 to get 2, and then 4 times 1 to get 4, plus b, and I'm going to bring down my -5. Now I can simplify that 2 over 4 to be 1/2. So now, to get b by itself, I would subtract 1/2 from each side. Now I'm going to do this over here since we'll get a little bit more room there. So -5 minus 1/2. Again, I'm going to put that 5 over 1 so I can see my numerator and denominator. And in order to add fractions, I need to have a common denominator. So I multiply this side by 2 and your numerator by 2. Because what you do to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator, which will give me -10 over 2 minus 1 over 2. Your rule for subtraction is keep, change, opposite. So when you have the same sign and you're adding, you're going to add that 10 and 1 to get 11, and you keep the sign you were working with. So your b is -11 over 2. So our final answer will be y equals 1/4x minus 11 over 2. Okay, so now we're going to move on to number 23. I'm sorry, not 23, 22. On number 22, I have a -3 and a 4. And they tell me my slope is undefined. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is write my y equals mx plus b, and then I'm going to write my m equals and my b equals. Well, they tell me that m is undefined. Sorry if you can't read that. But m equals undefined. So now we need to find our b. If you remember from the notes from section 3.1, we discussed what the equation of a line looks like when you have an undefined slope. If you look back at the notes, you will find that an undefined slope always has x equals a number. So in order to find the b on here, you will remember that there is no y-intercept when you have an undefined slope. But since we know that the equation of a line with an undefined slope is x equals, we're going to look and see what x equals in our ordered pair. X equals -3, and that is the equation of our line. That's when you're dealing with equations that have special graphs. Okay, so now we are going to work on number 24 through 32, even. Number 24 through 32, the directions say write the equation for the line passing through each pair of points. Write your result in slope-intercept form where possible. So 24 says we've got the points 3, -2, and 6, 4. So to write the equation of a line, we would say y equals mx plus b, where m equals a number and b equals a number. So how can we find the slope or y-intercept when they give us two pair of points? So if we remember in section 3.2, when we discussed the slope of a line, we learned that there was a formula for that. We find our slope when we have y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. That's what we're going to do here to find our m. So first thing you do is identify your x's and your y's. Remember, these are my x1 and y1 because it's my first ordered pair. This is my x2 and y2 because it's my second ordered pair. So I'm going to plug in each of these values into my formula, but I'm going to first write in my parentheses. So y2 was 4, y1 was -2, x2 was 6, x1 is 3. So keep, change, opposite. 4 plus 2 is 6, and then 6 minus 3 is 3. So that gives me a slope of 2 over 1, or just 2. I'm going to leave it as a 2 because that's an easier number to work with. The reason I will accept you to write 2 over 1 is because I have told you that your slope is always a fraction. So that means that it would always be 2 over 1. Okay? But I'm going to use 2 because it'll be easier to find my b with that. So now they give me my slope, we found that, and now we have to find our y-intercept. Well, in the previous problems we worked numbers 12 through 22 even. They gave us an ordered pair and they gave us our slope. We had to find the y-intercept. So this one's no different, except they give us two ordered pairs. I think this makes it easier for us. Some people may not like negative numbers. So those people might choose to use the ordered pair 6, 4. Whereas other people may feel like those numbers are bigger and they don't want to work with bigger numbers, so they may choose to use the numbers 3, -2. If you go ahead and do both of them, you will notice that it does not matter which point you choose. You will still get the same answer as long as you do everything mathematically correct. I'm going to choose the ordered pair 6, 4 for my people who don't like those negatives. And then to try and challenge yourself, pause this video and do the ordered pair 3, -2. That way you can know that it doesn't matter which one you choose. So again, I'm going to use the ordered pair 6, 4. I know my m is 2, so I'm going to plug it into my equation y equals mx plus b. Well, 6 is my x, 4 is my y, so I'm going to plug 4 here, m here, x here, plus b, because that's what we're trying to find. So to find this, I'm going to multiply 2 times 6 to get 12. Then I'm going to subtract 12 from each side. 4 minus 12 is -8. And I'm going to plug down my b. I'm going to pull it down. So up here, I'm going to write down -8 for my b. So my final answer is y equals 2x minus 8. If you wrote y equals 2x plus -8, that means the same thing. I will accept either answer. Now let's look at problem number 26. Number 26 says I've got the 2 points -1, 3 and 4, -2. So I'm going to first write my y equals mx plus b, my m equals, and my b equals. So I have my x and my y's labeled. So now all I need to do is plug them into that formula we used earlier, which is right here. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to plug that in there. So I'm going to draw my parentheses first, like we learned in section 3.2. y2 is -2, y1 is 3, x2 is 4, x1 is -1. So I'm going to keep, change, opposite. So -2 plus -3 is -5. Keep, change, opposite. 4 plus 1 is 5. So that gives me -1 over 1 or just 1. Either way I will accept due to your slope always being a fraction. Oh, -1, sorry about that. So I'm going to bring my -1 over for my slope. Now I need to find my y-intercept. Again, you can use whichever ordered pair you would like. This time, I'm going to use the first ordered pair, which is -1, 3. And then my m equaled -1. So I'm going to plug that into y equals mx plus b. So my y is 3. My m is -1. X is -1. Bring down your plus b. Now I'm going to bring down my 3 and then multiply -1 times -1 to get +1. And then I'm going to bring down my b, subtract 1 from each side. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 equals b. Write that up here. Oops. So my final answer is y equals -x plus 2, or you could write y equals -1x plus 2. I know some of y'all like to write that 1 in front of that x value, and that's perfectly fine. Either one of those answers will work. Okay, so now we're going to move on to number 28. Number 28 is going to be a little more advanced. However, I am going to work it in these notes. That way you can still see it if you choose. If you find this problem is too advanced for you, or you do not feel like this is necessary for your understanding, which there won't be any like this on the test, but you can skip over this little section just by fast forwarding a little bit. So again, we are going to look at number 28. And I have the ordered pair -5, 3, and I have the ordered pair 4, 1. So I'm going to write the equation of the line, so that's y equals mx plus b, m equals b equals. So I need to find my slope by plugging it into that formula. As we're used to. I'm going to label my x and y values. Remember, these are x1 and y1 because they are the first ordered pair. These are x2 and y2 because they are the second ordered pair. So now I'm going to write in my parentheses, and then I will subtract. y2 was 1, y1 was 3, x2 is 4, x1's -5. So 1 minus 3, so keep, change, opposite, is -2, and then keep, change, opposite, 4 plus 5 is 9. So our slope is -2 over 9. Then to find the y-intercept, I'm going to go ahead and plug that into my equation, my slope-intercept form, and I can choose whichever set I want to use. Well, I think I'm going to choose this first ordered pair. Remember, you can choose whichever ordered pair you wish. So the ordered pair is -5, 3, and m equals -2 over 9. So I'm going to label my x for my -5 and my y for my +3. And I have y equals mx plus b. So my y is 3. My m is -2 over 9. My x is -5 plus b. -5 over 1. And now I'm going to multiply. So 3 equals a negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times 5 is 10. 9 times 1 is 9. Bring down your plus b. Now I'm going to subtract 10 over 9. And that will give me a b on this side. And now I'm going to do 3 minus 10 over 9 over here so we have a little bit of room. So I'm going to put my 3 over 1, and in order to Add or subtract fractions, you have to have that common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this side by 9. That will give me 27 over 9 minus 10 over 9. And 27 minus 10 is 17, and you keep that denominator of 9. So now my b is 17 over 9, and I can go ahead and plug that in. So I would have y equals negative 2 over 9x plus 17 over 9. Make this a little bit easier to see. Again, that problem is a little more advanced than what I would put on a test. At most, you would have that as a bonus problem. Number 30. On number 30, I have 2, negative 3, and 2, 4. So I have an x1, y1, x2, y2, and I'm going to write my y equals mx plus b, my m equals, and my b equals. So to find my slope, I'm going to write my parentheses and plug them in. y2 was 4, y1 was negative 3, x2 was 2, x1 was 2. So 4 minus negative 3. Keep, change, opposite. So that's 4 plus 3, which is 7. 2 minus 2, which is 0. Now recall that whenever you have a 0 in your denominator, that is called undefined. So my m is undefined. And if you recall from section 3.1, whenever you have a slope that is undefined, you will not have a y-intercept. And your equation will be in the form x equals some number. So we can look back at our ordered pairs. This was a 2 for our x. This was a 2 for our x. So it's safe to say that x equals 2. Remember, you're going to have x equals a number or y equals a number if you are dealing with undefined slope or a slope that equals 0. Now let's go ahead and finish number 32 to conclude this objective. 32 goes through the points negative 4, 1 and 3, 1. I'm first going to write the equation of a line, and my m equals and my b equals. I'm going to label my points. And then I'm going to plug them into my parentheses in my formula. y2 was 1, y1 was 1, x2 was 3, x1 was negative 4. So 1 minus 1 is 0. 3 minus negative 4. Keep, change, opposite. So 3 plus 4 is 7. When you have a 0 in your numerator, that gives us a slope of 0. Remember, whenever you have a 0 slope from section 3.1, we know we will have y equals some number. So we look over here and see, well, what does y equal? 1 on both of them, so y equals 1. That is the equation of this line. Now when we look at objective 4 at the bottom of page 294, the directions say write an equation of the line or for the line that satisfies the given geometric conditions. So again, this is number 34. We have L has slope of -2/3 and y-intercept of 0, 4. Well, if they ask us to write the equation of a line, we are going to have y equals mx plus b, where m equals a number and b equals a number. Well, our m, they tell us, is -2/3. Our b stands for our y-intercept, and they tell us our y-intercept is 0, 4. So if you were to plot that on a graph, you'd start at your origin and go 0 places from left to right, but then you would go up 4. So notice how that lies on your y-intercept. So that means that your y-intercept is 4. They gave us all the information we needed, so to find our final answer, we would plug that into the y equals mx plus b to get y equals -2/3x plus 4. Number 36, they try and trick us a little bit. They say that your line has an x-intercept of -2, 0 and a slope of 3/4. Well, we're going to write our y equals mx plus b, m equals b equals. So our m, they tell us, is 3/4. So I'm going to write 3/4 here, and I need to find out what my b is. Well, our x-intercept means it's going to lie on this x-axis. Well, b stands for the y-intercept. I need to know what lies on this axis. So the x-intercept doesn't really tell me much other than the fact that it goes through that point. So let's go ahead and plug this x and y value into our equation with our slope, just like we did on numbers 12 through 22 even. So our y is 0, our m is 3/4, and our x is -2, and I'm going to put that -2/1 so I can go ahead and see my numerator and denominator easily. So I get 0 equals 3 times -2 is -6. 4 times 1 is 4 plus b. I can simplify that by dividing my numerator and denominator by 2, which will give me 0 equals -3/2. And then to get b by itself, you add 3/2 to both sides, which gives you 3/2 equals b. So our equation of this line is y equals 3/4x plus 3/2. $38 is going to work just about the same way. They tell us that our x-intercept is -2, 0, and that its slope is undefined. So write your equation Write your m equals and your b equals. Well, they tell us m is undefined. And we know that when we have an undefined slope, there is no y-intercept. If you look at your notes from section 3.1, you will remember that whenever you have an undefined slope, your equation is going to be x equals. So to find out what x equals, we go to our ordered pair, and what does x equal? -2. So our answer is x equals -2. Now to look at number 40. 40 says that it passes through the point -2, -4 with a slope of -3/2. Write the equation of a line, which is y equals mx plus b, and your m equals and your b equals. Well, this problem is just like numbers 12 through 22 even. So we're going to plug in these three values into our equation so we can find out what b is. Again, they told us that m is -3/2. So my y is -4. My m is -3/2. My x is -2, and I'm going to put it over 1 so I can see what my numerator and denominator are, and I'm going to bring down my plus b. So now I'm going to multiply these two fractions together. So negative times a negative will give me a positive answer. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. Bring down your plus b and bring down your -4. You can simplify 6/2 to be 3 and bring everything else down. Now to get that b by itself, we're going to subtract 3 from each side to give me b equals -7. Be careful of your signs. -4 minus 3 is -7. So now I'm going to write my equation of the line, which is y equals -3/2x minus 7. Okay, so now let's look at number 42. So 42 says that I have a y-intercept of 0, -3, and my line is parallel to the equation y equals 2/3x plus 1. Well, I'm going to write my y equals mx plus b. Then I will write my m equals and my b equals. So they tell me my y-intercept is -3, so I'm going to go ahead and plug that in over here. And they tell me that my line is parallel to this equation here. Oops, I'm not supposed to say 2. So if my line is parallel, that means that they're going to have the same slope like we learned in the beginning of this section. So my slope here is 2/3. So the slope of my line will also be 2/3. So I'm going to write my equation of the line, which is y equals 2/3 x, minus 3. That was a negative 3. Number 44 says that I have a y-intercept of 0, 2, and my line is parallel to the equation y equals negative 1. I'm going to write my y equals mx plus b, and my m equals and my b equals. Well, if we have y equals negative 1, that line would go right here. It would start at that negative 1 on our y-axis. And remember, it slices the axis that it's equal to in half. So this line right here is the graph of y equals negative 1. Well, if my line is parallel to it, then I know that it is also going to be a horizontal line, but somewhere above or below that. Well, if it's going to be parallel, it means it will have the same slope. Well, the slope of a line that is horizontal, that just has y equals a number, is 0. And the y-intercept of those lines, they told me, is going to be a 2 for this line. So my equation will be y equals 0x plus 2, or y equals 2. Number 46, they tell me, again, y-intercept is 0, 2, and it's perpendicular to the line with equation 2x minus 3y equals 6. Well, I'm going to write my equation of the line, which is y equals mx plus b, where my m equals a number and b equals a number. Well, they tell me my y-intercept is 2, so I'm going to put a 2 for my b. Then they tell me my lines are perpendicular, so I need to find out the slope of this line so I can find out the slope of my line. Well, to find the slope of this line, I'm going to subtract 2x from each side, which will give me negative 3y equals negative 2x plus 6. Then to get the y by itself, I'm going to divide by negative 3, and I have to do that by each term. So I'm going to end up with y equals 2 over 3x, because a negative divided by a negative is a positive, and then 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. So the slope of this line is 2/3, but they tell me it's perpendicular. So the line that is perpendicular to this will have a slope that is an opposite. So instead of being a positive, it will be a negative, and it will be the reciprocal. So instead of 2 over 3, I'm going to flip that fraction to be a 3 over 2. So my final answer will be y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 2. Now we're going to look at number 48. 48 says that our line passes through negative 4, 3 and is parallel to the equation y equals negative 2x plus 1. I'm going to write my equation of the line, which is y equals mx plus b. I'm going to write my m equals and my b equals. So they tell me that my line is parallel to this line. Parallel lines have the same slopes, so that means that my slope is also going to be a negative 2. Now I have my slope and I have an ordered pair, so I can plug that information into my y equals mx plus b to find out what my y-intercept is. So my y is 3, my m is negative 2, my x is negative 4, and then bring down my plus b. So I'm going to bring down my 3, negative 2 times negative 4 is positive 8. Bring down your b. Then we subtract 8 from each side to get negative 5 equals b. So to write the equation of this line, I will have y equals negative 2x minus 5, or you could say y equals negative 2x plus a negative 5. That means the same thing. Now we're going to move on to number 50. Number 50 says that our line passes through negative 2, negative 1, and it is perpendicular to the line with the equation y equals 3x plus 1. So I'm going to write my y equals mx plus b. Alright, my m equals and my b equals. So my lines are perpendicular, so that means that the slopes are going to be opposite reciprocals. So if my slope over here is 3 over 1, then the slope that is perpendicular to that will be opposite, so being a negative, and instead of 3 over 1 it would be 1 over 3. And that's to find my slope. Now to find my y-intercept, well, I have my slope, I have my x, and I have my y. So I can find that by plugging these values in to my y equals mx plus b formula. So my y is negative 1, my m is negative 1 over 3, my x is negative 2, and I'm going to put that negative 2 over 1, and I'm going to bring down my plus b. So I'm going to bring down my negative 1 and multiply these two parentheses. So I've got a negative times a negative will give me a positive. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. And then bring down your b. Now I will subtract 2/3 from each side of my equation to get b on this side, and then I'm doing negative 1 minus 2/3. Put my negative 1 over 1. In order to subtract these, I must have a common denominator, so I can multiply this denominator by 3 and the numerator by 3, which will give me negative 3 over 3 minus 2 over 3. Remember, your rule for subtraction is keep, change, opposite. When you're adding and the signs are the same, you add them together and keep that sign. So that would be my y-intercept. We still aren't done though. we have to put these numbers into our equation because they're asking us to write the equation of a line. So my final answer will be y equals negative 1 over 3x minus 5 over 3. Now number 52. I have the ordered pair negative 4, 2, and it's perpendicular to the line with the equation y equals 4x plus 5. So I'm going to write my equation of a line, and my m equals, and my b equals. So the slope of this line is 4 over 1. So if my line is perpendicular to that, I know it's going to be an opposite reciprocal. So the opposite of positive 4 over 1 is going to be a negative, and then the reciprocal will be 1/4. So my slope is negative 1/4. Then to find my y-intercept, I have an x value, a y value, and an m value, so I can plug those into my equation. So my y is 2, my m is negative 1/4, my x is negative 4, and I'm going to write that as negative 4 over 1, and then bring down my plus b. So now I'm going to multiply these two together, bring down my 2, a negative times a negative is a positive, 1 times 4 is 4, 4 times 1 is 4, bring down your plus b. So 4 over 4 simplifies to be a 1, bring down your plus b, subtract 1 from each side to get 1 equals b. Again, don't forget I am not finished yet. Sorry about that, guys. Remember, I'm not finished yet because I still have to write this as an equation. So my equation will be y equals negative 1 over 4x plus 1. So that's the end of that objective. Now I promised you guys at the beginning of this lesson that I would go back and work number 10. The reason I'm doing this is because I do not agree with the order that the book put this problem in. I feel like it was too advanced for what you knew at that point in time. Okay, so we're trying to find out what y equals. So I need to find out my slope. If my slope is going to be perpendicular to this, then that means that it's actually going to be negative 4/3. And then I need to find out what b is, as we spoke about earlier. So I have an x, a y, and an m, so I need to find my b. So I'm going to plug that in to y equals mx plus b. My y is 3. My m is negative 4/3. My x is 2. And I'm bringing down my plus b. So to multiply these together, I'm going to bring down my 3. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 6. 3 times 1 is 3. No, negative 8 over 3. Good grief. Plus b. So I'm now going to add 8 over 3 to both sides. So to add 3 over 1 plus 8 over 3. I need to get a common denominator, which will give me 9 over 3 plus 8 over 3, which is 17 over 3. So B equals 17 over 3. Now I can go ahead and try and find my y value. So my y can be found by plugging in this x value, this m value, and this b value. So this m here and this b here. So y equals mx plus b. I don't know my y, but my m is -4/3. My x is 5, and I'm going to put it as 5 over 1, and my b is 17 over 3. So y equals -20 over 3 plus 17 over 3. I got -20 because -4 times 5 is -20, and then 3 times 1 is 3. So then I combine those. If I've got -20 plus 17, it gives me -3 over 3, which then equals -1. So y equals -1. I hope this video has helped you. I wish you luck. Have a good day.